was up in Espanola a couple weeks back that Coach Geyer was there taking a close look at Hope Christian setting up for the state tournament.
And I did talk to Ron Geyer last night, and we talked a little bit about seedings before that. Before the game, he said that he thought his team was a 5 seed, didn't see it moving at all. So I think he researched it pretty well, had it down pat, and expected the Indian School. He said absolutely in the pregame show, absolutely they would be no worse than a 3 seed, and I think he expected a 2 seed. If they would have won the ball game last night, they might have gotten into the 2 seed. But then on the other hand, we didn't expect Sandia Prep to upset Hope Christian, and so anyway, that's the way that conversation turned out. But I think they got the seeds that they expected, and that's where they should be.
I think another thing that helped them too was the fact that Tehachapi lost to Bloomfield in the district championship game that night too. So I think Tehachapi I thought Tehachapi had an argument to get that 5 seed over St. Michael's, but once they lost that championship game to Bloomfield, a team that ended up going 8, and I think they probably helped themselves get that 8 seed, although they're not going to get a home game out of it because suppose the District 3 champ on that side. But I think that game as much influenced the outcome of where St. Mike's end up as much as their win last night against Indian School.
The only thing that worries me, guys, about the Santa Fe Indian School Braves, and Jeff had just made a point of it with they do have 8 seniors, but a lot of these guys have never been there before, and that makes a big difference when you get there. Kind of saw it a little bit last night for the first time. They ran the table, went 10-0, very impressive, and just a great coaching job by Ernie Rodriguez this year, and a great job by his kids to execute in that tough district. The only thing that worries me is in a pressure situation, what will happen. I expect them to win Saturday over Theroux, but that quarterfinal matchup, if Tehachapi beats Robertson, could be a tough one for Santa Fe Indian School. It's really the first time these kids have been in this kind of a situation with this team, and if they can get past that one, it's at the Santa Ana Center, away from a big arena and a kind of a different atmosphere for them. That's the only thing that concerns me about Santa Fe Indian School.
I think I also wonder how much being now considered one of the favorites affects them too, because I think one advantage that Ernie always had in motivating his team and getting them ready for big games like this was that they were always kind of having the situation was always against them. They were playing against a better team, or he could always use that underdog card to kind of get his kids motivated for whatever challenge they had. Now that you're the favorites, you kind of have to go out there and expect to win and expect to get to the semifinals and get to that matchup against Sandia Prep. And if you don't, suddenly your season kind of becomes worthless. Whereas before, whatever you did once you got to the state tournament was kind of gravy.
No. I think the Braves win Friday night or Saturday night. I think they beat Tehachapi or Robertson, and that'll be a packed Santa Ana Star Center if Tehachapi and the Indian School get in. And then I think Sandia Prep gets there. Those two teams that played earlier in the year, and what was a 6-point loss?
Yeah, 59-53. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that'll be a fun one to watch, and hope we're there to broadcast that, because Santa Fe Indian School's got a great team. They didn't play well last night. St. Mike's was a big part of that reason, but this will be a good matchup for them.
I do want to say one other matchup that I wanted to point out of this is Pewaukee as a 7 seed. That's about as low as I think they should have gone. I don't think they should have slipped below that. They're a dangerous team. Unfortunately for the Elks, their second round matchup, assuming they get through a tough number 10 seed in Wingate, their second round matchup, they did play Sandia Prep earlier this year. It was in Ben Lujan Gymnasium. Pewaukee lost 54-25 in a game that Joey said was as bad a game as he's had since he's been there. And I don't think they match up with Sandia Prep at all. I think it was shown when they played January 16th. And that's an unfortunate possible second-round matchup for Pewaukee, because that's a team that does have the talent, and with point guard Luke Salazar, as good a penetrator as I've seen this season, I really thought Pewaukee had a good chance to upset some people depending on matchups, and I just don't think the matchups play out very well for them here.
I'm going to say Pewaukee upsets Prep. I'm just going to say it right here. I just think that was an off game that they had there. Joey says that was the worst game that they played, and I think they've gotten themselves prepared by having to play St. Mike's, having to play Indian School. They've played some really tough, close games over the last 10 games during the district season. I think that's going to get them ready for Prep. And I think Prep, one thing that I've always noticed about Sandia Prep is that as talented as they are, they always seem to have They always seem to have one game where they either underperform to their expectations, or they have an opportunity to make an upset, like last year against Hope in the semifinals. They were up on them with I think by 3 points in the final minute, let that game slip away. I think Prep is primed to have one of those games where they slip up, and I think Milwaukee might be able to pull that off there.
I think Coach Trujillo's just happy. He's on the opposite side of St. Mike's, guys. 18 in a row. They're down in that bottom bracket, and just keep them as far away from the Horsemen as he can. And I think we'll see what happens, but it'll be interesting, that second round game of Milwaukee and San Diego Prep play each other.
I want to touch a little bit on the St. Mike's Portales matchup. We haven't really gone in depth, but I'm looking at what happened to Portales. They actually beat Lovington after losing to Portales after losing to Lovington 60-34.
That's a mistake. I actually went onto the Portales website, and they actually did lose to Lovington last night in the championship.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, and I don't know what Lovington's got, but they must have something. Usually, they've got some talented players. But Portales, St. Mike's, again, the Portales coach Mark Gallegos, disciple of Ron Geyer for the most part, and that is always an interesting matchup. But I certainly don't see Portales beating the Horsemen. But Portales not a big team. Typically, they're very big, but they've only got, I think, like one 6'4" kid and several 6'1" kids. But the matchup size-wise is not what bothers me. But I think the quickness factor is going to be tough. Okay, we need to take a break. We'll be back right after this.